A lot of guys in the green industry never get to a place where they trust somebody or have trained somebody or have created systems that allow them to have a normal everyday life. And that's not why you join and open a business. You don't open a business to be a slave to yourself. And you open a business to have, impact on others and freedom in whatever area you deem you need freedom. And a lot of that is time and family. And I talk to guys all the time that say, well, it's just part of it. And I'm here to say, no, it's not. I talk to guys all the time about this, and they're like, I feel like I don't have time to do anything but eat, sleep, and work. And so that's got to change.
I'm an old school guy. You take a piece of paper and you write down, here's where my company is today. Here's where I'd like it to be. Here's the roadblocks in the way. What do we need to do to get better? But if you don't communicate that to anybody, you're just one man.
From the outside, everybody would say, hey man, you're doing great. Y'all's business is doing great. I'm doing a ton of work. You're doing great work. But I was so broken and just completely crumbling on the inside.
I hear this all the time, I'm too busy. I'm like, you're too busy to invest in yourself. You're too busy to invest in your business. You're gonna stay in the same exact spot. So, man, get to GIE, talk to people, learn, listen, get back home and kick butt.
In 2017, when I started Trifecta, I had no idea what I was doing. I quit my job with a 2 weeks notice without another job. And I looked at my wife and said, what should we do? And we had been doing this on the side for a few months, 2 or 3 months at the most. And she said, well, what if you could replicate your income from 1 day a week to 5? Starting in 2017, getting that first year, and the Lord blessing that, and we did so much revenue, I couldn't even imagine we would have done that much revenue in the first year, but I still had no idea what I was doing. And it wasn't until 2018 when I kind of sat down and said, okay, I've got to learn how to run a real business. At the end of 2018, I've got 4 or 5 employees now, my second year, and 2 or 3 days before GIE, I saw on Instagram, somebody said, man, you can't miss this, landscapers. And I'm like, apparently I can't miss this. I'm a landscaper. And so I told my dad, hey, Dad, it's time to go. It's time to go to GIE. I have no idea what it is. It's 7 hours away. Are you ready? And my dad was so gracious and so supportive. He said, absolutely. I've got to understand my numbers better. I've got to have some information. I need a business coach. And because I played baseball my whole life, so coaches with, production made sense to me. Going into 2018, which is at the end of that year is when I went to GIE for the first time, I started having these conversations with myself and other people on how do I become a business owner.
I came in '99, and it was the first year we came out with our first product. So I'm like, hey, let's go to GIE, see if there's anything out there like it. And then the show was huge back then. Actually, they had the entire exhibit area. They had the back area where they used to have like the food area. It was huge because back then, there's no social media. And so the show got bigger and bigger. And then like 2007, 8 really got small. And so I took probably 5 or 6 years off and then started coming back again. And then now it's, of course, booming again. It's getting bigger, and this year will be huge. So we went, my dad and I went, and I was blown away at the equipment, the gear, the brands, and I thought I was kind of in the know, and I had no clue.
So I guess my first time at GIE would be like back in 2016. And so When I came, I kind of had a very specific agenda. So I kind of made a list, and that was certain equipment that I knew would kind of take my company to the next level, help with production with my man hours. And then the other thing was going to be different types of software that could help me to get to the next level, because I'm very old school. I do a lot of things by paper, you know, and so that was really neat for us because we instantly started selling jobs. Within about 90 days of getting the software, we sold our first six-figure project.
I think the thing that I realized the most through my first 2 years and then the end of that second year was the GIE experience was the importance of going from being self-employed and owning my job to being a true business owner. And I define business ownership as two things. One, it can run and be somewhat smooth when you're not there. And two, it impacts other people other than yourself. That's just my personal definition of it. After GIE, the fallout of GIE, that's when I realized, man, it doesn't matter how big your business is, but it needs to be a real business. Like, all of us need that peace and sanity and structure, you know, where you're not working 70 hours a week your whole life, because a lot of landscapers do that.
Leaving GIE, where I felt I had so many holes in my company prior to figuring out a way to become more efficient and then to be able to sell properly, allowed us to grow from $600,000-700,000 a year, breaking the $1 million mark, you know, up into 1.2-1.3 million mark, which for a company is crazy growth. And there's such a milestone that you hit once you break that seven-figure mark.
I've been coming to GIE for 7 years now. I started my very first year in business. I decided to make the investment to come to GIE. It was really easy that year because of the fact that I was a small business and I had the space in my schedule to be able to do it. But as the business has grown, it's become a point where I had to make decisions on the fact that I've got to shift my schedule around. Being solo, that does make it a little bit easier to be able to shift that. I've built rapport with my clients for them to understand that I'm going to be gone for 4 or 5 days and their yard's just not going to get done on the normal day. And it really comes down to building a rapport. And don't get me wrong, I can remember probably my third year coming, I actually lost a client to come here. And to me, it was more profitable to come here and lose that client than to stay there just to keep one client. The amount of stuff I'm able to learn here. Here you get to talk to guys all over the country that own lawn care and landscape businesses, and they're not in your backyard. You're not competing against them. They're more apt to give you information that's gonna help you grow your business. So that, to me, has been worth more than even losing that customer. I knew I could replace that customer. I can't replace the things that I've learned by being here at GIE.
The real question is, why in the world would you not go? Like, if you believe in your business, if you believe in, you know, your future in the industry, why would you not go? I mean, you've got to do everything in your power, in my opinion, to go. You know, the first time I went, I'll do a practical example. I did all my clients on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so I could drive up Wednesday morning. At that time, you know, I had to leave the day of because I didn't have many people. All that to say, do whatever you can to get there, because it's like, you can't miss it.
It got so bad, I think I went almost 2 months without talking to my wife, just coming home, sitting on the couch, vegging out on TV, and then turn around doing it all over again. I got to a really dark place in my business. From the outside, everybody would say, hey man, you're doing great, you know, y'all's business is doing great, y'all doing a ton of work, you're doing great work. But I was so broken and just completely crumbling on the inside.